NASCAR fans, the 10th race of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series is this week's GEICO 500 at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. Ricky Bobby won't be participating in this year's event, much to the chagrin of fans looking for a little shake and bake. But the weather doesn't look too bad, which is a nice change of pace after what has been a really rainy start to the season. Coverage of the GEICO 500 will be on Sunday afternoon with a 2 p.m. Eastern Time start on Fox. This is a restrictor plate race, which automatically means that we have no idea what will happen. Letting the cat out of the bag this early in the article might not do wonders for the time spent on page analytics, but let's be honest, you already knew that this race is hard to handicap. Since 2010, the only repeat winner here is Brad Keselowski, and the list of winners includes David Reagan and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That is just the nature of the beast at a 2.5-mile track with 40-plus cars racing side by side for 3 hours, and that is Talladega. Despite restrictions on the engines, this is still one of the fastest races of the season on the big 2.66-mile track. The average speed in this race has been over 145 miles per hour and just over 140 the last 2 years, down considerably from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 159 mile per hour in 2015. Through 9 races, Kyle Busch is way out in front of the rest of the pack. With his third straight win last week at Richmond, Busch has 415 points, including 108 stage points and 17 bonus points, which are relevant for the playoffs. Joey Logano is a distant second with 359 points. Clint Bowyer is a surprise in third place, and Kevin Harvick, who also has 3 wins, is fourth with 324 points. Brad Keselowski rounds out the top 5 with 303 points. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch, and Kyle Larson round out the top 10. Austin Dillon does have 1 win this season, and he sits in 14th place. Brad Keselowski is this week's favorite at odds of plus 650, but there are 9 drivers at plus 1350 or less odds this week, and the long shot prices are not as juicy as usual because of the inherent volatility of these restrictor plate races. Brad Keselowski, though, has proven to be very good in these events. He has 2 wins in the last 4 years in the fall race at Talladega and wins in 2009 and 2012 in this race. He also has a win at Daytona on his ledger. Between wins, Keselowski was 15th, 38th, and 22nd in this race, so that speaks to how variance it is. He did lead the most laps in 2016 at Talladega in the fall, but ended up finishing 38th. Taking the favorite here is not always a great option, but his resume at these restrictor plate tracks is among the best in the field. Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano are both at odds of plus 850. Ford cars have run really well in restrictor plate races in recent years, including wins in 3 of the last 5 GEICO 500s and 4 straight wins in the fall race at Talladega. That in and of itself makes Logano a pretty decent bet. He has 2 of those fall wins, but he doesn't have a win in this race. But he did win the Daytona 500 in 2015 and has 3 top 6 finishes since. This race has not been his friend, as he hasn't finished higher than 26th since 2011. Denny Hamlin always runs well in tight conditions. Short tracks, restrictor plate tracks, it really doesn't matter. He is a guy that always finds himself in contention. He won this race back in 2014 and has a Daytona 500 to his name. He was 3rd in that race earlier this season. He was 6th in the fall race at Talladega last year and 3rd in 2016. Some guys absolutely hate these races, but Hamlin seems to embrace it and excel. That is a good start, especially because he has 4 top 5 finishes this season and has been one of the better Toyota racers not named Kyle Busch. With the guys that have a lot of restrictor plate success out of the way, we also have 6 drivers between 11.5 and 13.5 to 1 odds. You really can't go wrong with a lot of these mid-range prices because it is such an unpredictable race. Chase Elliott stands out a bit at plus 1250. It has not been a good season for Elliott so far, but last week's second place finish may be the turning point. He had the pole in 3 of the last 5 early season restrictor plate races. The results haven't been there for one reason or another, but he does put himself in a good spot via qualifying. You can afford to throw a few darts in an event like this as well. so Clint Boyer is a two-time winner in restrictor plate races, and he is at odds of plus 2750. Chris Buescher finished 5th at Daytona and threw a wrench into things for the playoffs in 2016 with a random win at Pocono. He is at odds of plus 1150. Jamie McMurray is a two-time winner at Talladega at odds of plus 4400. These races seem more about luck than the others, so picking out a few longer shots is never a bad idea. After all, Darrell Wallace Jr. finished 2nd in the Daytona 500. If you'd like to bet on motorsports including NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, and more, there are 2 different ways to bet. You can bet on the outright winner of a race or the series, and you can bet on who will win each individual driver matchup. You can place a bet on the winner of a race by clicking on Motorsports, then on NASCAR, IndyCar, or Formula One, then on Futures or pick winner prior to the race, and there you will find a list of drivers to bet on. If a driver is listed at positive odds of, for example, plus 750, that means you could win $750 by placing a $100 wager on that driver. A positive sign usually indicates somewhat of an underdog, but rarely will you see any negative odds on a driver to win a race. If you do have a driver with a negative sign in front of their odds, for example, odds of minus 150, that means that they are a favorite to win, and you would have to bet $150 on that driver to win $100. The second way to bet on motorsports is driver matchups between 2 drivers, where you only have to choose who will win the matchup between the 2 listed. Sometimes one driver may be favored over the other, indicated by negative odds, or the odds could be even on the drivers. You use the same rules as with the race winner and futures, with plus and minus odds, to calculate your payoff for each and every matchup.